Welcome back to Play Action Fantasy Football. This is Jonathan here again with you. This is Week 9 start sit running backs we're looking at. Why don't you guys go like and subscribe real quick before we get started. I also want to thank everybody who is listening, our subscribers out there, and all the people giving us some comments, reviews, letting us know what you guys think. We do appreciate that. So as I get started into this, we got Thursday night, Titans at the Steelers, Derrick Henry, Tyjae Spears, Najee Harris, and Jaylen Warren. Derrick Henry, he's going to be a start this week, but he is questionable. So when I say that, he's going to be a start if he's playing. Now, we record on Tuesday, so keep that in mind. He's dealing with an ankle injury, and he did sit Monday and Tuesday, so it's not guaranteed that Derrick Henry is going to be playing Thursday night. But if he does play and he does shrug this off, it'll be a good matchup for him with the Steelers. And then so that brings me to Tyjae Spears. He's going to be a cautionary start if Henry does not play. Obviously, if Henry's playing, Tyjae Spears is not going to be somebody you want in your lineup. But if Henry's out, I do think Spears is a good flex position. Maybe RB2 if you have to. It's a good matchup with the Steelers. So just keep that in mind and keep a lookout for Derrick Henry's injury update. And as far as the Steelers go, Najee Harris, he's going to be a sit, and same thing with Jaylen Warren. Both of those guys, this offense has been slowing down tremendously, so I do not see Harris or Warren getting many stepping up really because they've shown that they haven't produced much. They're both getting just a few carries, getting a few yards, not looking good for the Steelers at all. Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m., we got Dolphins at the Chiefs. It's actually overseas, not at the Chiefs, but they are the home team. And for running backs, Dolphins, Raheem Mostert, Salvon Ahmed, and Jeff Wilson. Mostert is an easy start, obviously. The Chiefs have a very good defense and run defense, so Mostert is going to have a very good day. But as far as Salvon Ahmed and Jeff Wilson, they split the second and third RB carries, so I do not see either of them getting much points. Definitely don't want him in your fantasy, but Mostert obviously is an easy start. Now, as far as Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon go, Pacheco's got to be a start. I mean, he hasn't scored in the past 3 or 4 games, I believe, and they're going up against the Dolphins who they like to score a lot, give up a lot of points, so I do see Pacheco definitely getting a lot of points, and he has high potential to get in the end zone this week. McKinnon, on the other hand, he's going to be a sit. McKinnon, I don't think the Chiefs are going to be using him quite much, as they've shown the past few weeks that they're not going to use him much like they used to. And so just going to have to be a simple sit for McKinnon. Going to our 1 o'clock games, we have the Vikings at the Falcons. We're looking at Alexander Mattison, Cam Akers for the Vikings. Madison's an easy start this week. Falcons do have a very good run defense, one of the best in the league. However, I do think with Kirk Cousins out, Justin Jefferson out, they're going to have to start leaning on somebody. So I do think Madison is going to be that person, and look for him to get a lot of points against the Falcons, and definitely want to put him in your lineup. As far as Cam Akers go, he's going to have to be a sit. I know I just said Kirk Cousins is out, Justin Jefferson is out. But that doesn't necessarily mean Akers is going to be getting more usage. I think it's just going to be more Madison. So Akers is going to be a sit this week against a good defense. And as far as the Falcons go, Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier. Bijan Robinson, he's going to be a cautionary start this week. Vikings are one of the best run defenses as well in the league. And Bijan Robinson also, he hasn't proven much over the past few weeks. He's shown that he can get 30, 40, 50 yards, but that's about it. He's not having very great stats and fantasy-wise, so I do think he's going to be a cautionary start. He's a good flex position to have in there for sure, as he's an RB1, but I would not put him as your fantasy RB1 or RB2 this week. And Tyler Algier, he's going to be a sit. He started off the season hot, but the past few weeks they have not been using him as much. And against a very good Vikings defense, I don't see him getting much points, so he's definitely going to have to be a sit for me this week. The next 1 o'clock game we're going to be looking at is the Bears at the Saints. Donta Foreman, Rashawn Johnson for the Bears. It's going to be a sit for both of them. Khalil Herbert is still out on IR, so they're going to be splitting the carries, Foreman and Johnson. And Johnson's coming off a little bit of an injury, and I don't think either of them have a good chance against the Saints. The Saints It's going to be in New Orleans, a loud spot. The Bears are going to struggle on offense. The Saints have a very, very good defense, so I don't see Donta Foreman or Rashawn Johnson getting any good amount of points in fantasy. So you're going to have to sit both of them. And as far as the Saints go, we got Alvin Kamara and Jamal Williams. Alvin Kamara, he's a for sure start. He's going to be top 2 running backs this week for sure. No question about it. So he's an easy start. And as far as Jamal Williams goes, he's going to be a cautionary start. He's coming off some injuries. He really hasn't proven it yet, but I think this is the week against the Bears, who have a very bad defense, for Jamal Williams to get out there, catch some passes, maybe get in the end zone. So maybe put him in a flex spot. Just be cautious with it, see who you got on your team. But Jamal Williams is not a bad person to consider in that spot. Next up, the Rams at the Packers. We're looking at Royce Freeman, Myles Gaskin for the Rams. Surprisingly, it's going to be Royce Freeman and Myles Gaskin. They put Darrell Henderson down to the practice squad this week. Kind of surprisingly, because Darrell Henderson actually played pretty well. But it's going to be Royce Freeman, Myles Gaskin. Royce Freeman's a start this week. I think he's going to have a very good week against the Packers. The Rams are going to use him. And then as far as Myles Gaskin goes, it's going to be a Royce Freeman show. They've came out and showed and said that he's going to be the lead back. So it's obvious that Freeman's going to be getting a lot of points this week against a struggling Packers defense. And Myles Gaskin, he hasn't played a game yet with the Rams. They signed him a couple weeks ago. He could have a decent game, but I would not put any money on it. So he's going to have to be a sit. And as far as the Packers go, Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, they're both sits for me this week. The Rams have one of the best defenses in the league, so it's going to be hard for Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon to get a lot of points, especially when Aaron Jones really hasn't surpassed 10, 12 points much this season at all. So A.J. Dillon obviously hasn't done that either. So both of them are going to have to be sits this week as the Rams go into Green Bay. Next up, we got the Commanders at Patriots. For the Commanders, we're looking at Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson. Not going to spend much time on Antonio Gibson. He's going to be a sit this week. He hasn't shown much at all for the Commanders. Easy sit. Brian Robinson, he's going to be a cautionary start. He's shown, obviously, in the beginning of the year what he can do. He has a lot of potential. Patriots do have a good defense, so I think Brian Robinson is a good flex position this week. He can definitely get a certain amount of points. He's going to be more of one of those guys with a high floor, low ceiling kind of guys, so he's definitely a cautious start. Maybe a RB2 if you have to. And the Patriots, Ramondre Stevenson, Ezekiel Elliott. Ramondre Stevenson is going to be an easy start this week. The past couple weeks, he hasn't been quite as hot, but this is definitely one of those games where he can come back, put a lot of points up. The Patriots have been throwing the ball quite a bit, but against the Commanders, who have a decent defense, I do see Stevenson having a very good day. And Ezekiel Elliott, on the other hand, he's going to be a sit. I don't think that he gets enough of those carries that Stevenson gets, so it's not going to be a very good day for Elliott against the Commanders. He's going to be a sit. Next 1 o'clock game, we got the Seahawks at the Ravens. Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet for the Seahawks. Kenneth Walker's an easy start. He's shown that he's a top 10 running back easily. And against the Ravens, who do have a good defense, I wouldn't expect Walker to have his best game of the year, but I do think he's an easy start for RB1 or RB2. And Charbonnet, he's a sit. He doesn't get much usage at all. Where we just kind of throw him in there. He's an RB2, so you got to throw him in there. But Charbonnet is an easy sit. And as far as the Ravens go, Gus Edwards. Wow. Have you guys seen what he's been doing the past 2 weeks? He had 3 touchdowns last week and 80-something yards. He's going to be a start this week against Seahawks. Seahawks have a very mid defense. It's going to be in Baltimore, so you don't have to worry about that loud Seahawks place. And I think Gus Edwards is going to continue what he keeps doing. The Ravens are going to continue to feed him the ball, and so he's going to be a start this week. And if he's going to continue to receive the ball and maybe get more carries, it's going to mean less for Justice Hill. So Justice Hill is going to have to sit this week. I don't think he's going to get much points against the Seahawks defense, and we're rolling with that. Next up, we got the Buccaneers at Texans. Rachaad White, Keyshawn Vaughn, Dameon Pierce, Devin Singletary. We got 3 out of 4 of these guys sitting. We'll start with the Texans this time. Pierce is going to be a sit, Singletary a sit. Neither of them have proven against worse defense than the Buccaneers. They faced the Panthers last week. Neither of them put up much numbers. So it's hard to say that they're going to have a good week. And against a good Buccaneers defense, they're both going to be sits. And as far as the Buccaneers go, Rachaad White, Keyshawn Vaughn. Rachaad White's going to be a start this week. Texans struggle a lot, obviously. They don't have a very good team all around, including their defense. So Rachaad White, he's been playing better recently. I do see him putting up a good amount of points against the Texans. So he's going to be an easy start this week. And Keyshawn Vaughn right behind him. He's not right behind him. He's way behind him. So he's going to be a sit. Don't worry about that too much. Going on to our next game, we got our Cardinals at the Browns. Running backs Amari DeMarcado, Damian Williams, and Keontae Ingram, all for the Cardinals. With James Conner out, they got all 3 of these guys in. But there's one guy who's heading all of it, and that's Amari DeMarcado. And so it's looking like he really takes on 75% of the usage from running backs. So Damian Williams, Keontae Ingram are easy sits. They're going to get a carry or 2, but that's about it. And against a good Browns defense, it's going to be hard to even get that much points. So Amari DeMarcado is going to be a cautionary start. Although I do think he could have a very good week against the Browns, who have been struggling the past couple weeks. But I do think at the same time, you got to be reasonable. And I think Amari DeMarcado is going to be a good flex position to start this week. He's going to get you at least 10, 12 points. But don't expect too much, anything crazy from him. And as far as the Browns go, Jerome Ford, Kareem Hunt, we're going to start both of them. Jerome Ford's, he was dealing with a little bit of an injury, didn't play too much, or was, I should say, a little bit limited last game. He's going to be stepping it back up this week. So Jerome Ford's going to be a start this week. We're using him. Kareem Hunt, they're going to be using him as well. They like to use him in the red zone. Third down, third and short, all those is special plays. So I do think Hunt's an easy start this week against a Cardinals defense, which is very, very trash. So Jerome Ford, Kareem Hunt, easy starts. Next up, we got our 4 o'clock games. We have the Colts at the Panthers. Jonathan Taylor, Zach Moss, Miles Sanders, Chuba Hubbard. 4 good running backs, honestly. But as far as the Colts go, we're going to start both Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss. Panthers have a very bad defense. Zach Moss, Taylor, they've shown that they can eat. They've shown that they both are very good running backs, and they're not going to go anywhere just because one's very good. They're both going to be good. So I do see Taylor getting more points this week, so he's more of an RB1 than Moss is. But Moss is still a very good flex or very good RB2 to play. And as far as the Panthers go, Miles Sanders, Chuba Hubbard. The script is kind of flipping down there in Carolina. Chuba Hubbard's starting to take over more carries. Sanders is kind of slowing his roll a little bit. So Chuba Hubbard is going to be a start this week. He's kind of getting on a train, starting to get that rolling motion going. So I do think Chuba Hubbard is going to be a start this week. Sanders, on the other hand, he's a cautionary start, and that's because the Colts defense isn't that great. They're dealing with some injuries as well, but I do see Sanders being able to catch the pass out there, maybe make a few plays here and there. So he's going to be a cautious start. You might want to throw him in your flex, but I wouldn't throw him anything above a flex. And Chuba Hubbard, I would say flex to RB2, maybe not RB1, but he's a solid RB2 or flex position. Next game, we got the Giants at the Raiders, Saquon Barkley and Matt Breida. That's a pretty simple one. Saquon Barkley's going to be a start against the Raiders. Matt Breida, he's going to be a sit. Breida did a good job while Barkley was gone, but now that Barkley's back, he runs most of that offense, and it doesn't leave a lot of room for Breida. So Breida's a sit. Barkley's going to have a very good day. Josh Jacobs, Zamir White. Zamir White's going to be a sit again. He's a good running back. He's a rookie. But it's not looking like the Raiders are going to be using him much, and it's going to be a lot more of a Josh Jacobs show. So Josh Jacobs is obviously going to be a start. He's a top 10 running back. Not much to cover there, but look for him to have a very good day. Cowboys, Tony Pollard, he's going to be a start. And we're looking at Dowdle, his backup. Dowdle is going to be a sit. The Cowboys really have not used Dowdle very much, so it's hard to put him in there, especially against the number one defense. So it's an easy sit. Tony Pollard, though, is never an easy sit, and I don't think he ever will be. He's going to be a start against the Eagles. Obviously, it's a rivalry game. It's going to be very intense. I think it's going to be, whether it's high scoring or not, they're going to have to get Pollard the ball and get involved in the run game and get a lot of ground and pound yards against the Eagles. So Tony Pollard has to be a start this week. And as far as the Eagles go, DeAndre Swift, Kenneth Gainwell you could forget about. I believe the Eagles will start to move on from him here soon. He hasn't been playing well at all. He's easily a sit. DeAndre Swift, he's going to be a start. Against the Cowboys, who do have a good defense, DeAndre Swift, he's a big part of that Eagles high-powered offense. He catches the pass. He runs the ball a lot. That's going to be an easy start. Sunday night, we have the Bills at the Bengals. James Cook, Latavius Murray. James Cook is going to be a start against the Bengals this week. He's kind of been a little bit inconsistent this year, but against the Bengals, I could see this being a high-scoring game, and James Cook definitely can catch the ball out of the backfield and get a good amount of rushing yards as well and get in the end zone. So it's going to be hard not to start Cook this week. I think he's an easy start. Latavius Murray, he's going to be a sit. He really hasn't got much this year. I don't think he's scored over 7 fantasy points yet this year, so he's obviously going to be an easy sit against a decent defense at the Bengals. And as far as the Bengals go, we got Joe Mixon, Chase Brown, Chris Evans. Not much cover there. Joe Mixon is an easy start. He's Joe Mixon. He puts up points. He hasn't been the best this year, but last week we saw what he could do. He put up 20-something points, so he's going to be a start against the Bills this week. And Chase Brown, Chris Evans, you don't have to worry about either of those guys. The Bengals are worried enough with other options there on offense. They're not going to be using him much, or I should say them. And last but not least, we have our Monday Night Football game, Chargers at the Jets. Running backs for the Chargers, Eckler and Kelly. Eckler, he's going to be a start this week. I think that's a very simple one. Eckler's coming off that injury, as we all know, a couple weeks ago. He had a rough start, but he was going against some good teams. This week he's going against the Jets, so it's going to be an easy start. He's going to have at least 20, 25 points, and he's going to be a top 5 running back this week. And Joshua Kelly, he's going to be a sit just because Eckler is going to be using a lot of those usage, and at the same time, the Chargers like to throw the ball. So it's going to be hard for Kelly to find points there, and I don't see him getting a lot, so he's going to have to be a sit. And Breece Hall, he's a start. Dalvin Cook, he's a sit. Dalvin Cook, he's expressed his frustrations with the Jets, but the Jets didn't even listen last week. They gave him the ball even less. So he's obviously going to be a sit. Breece Hall, he's obviously going to be a start. He's shown that he's a top 10 running back as well. And that's without without Aaron Rodgers. They have Zach Wilson in there. So he's still producing, and they're relying on him. So he's an easy start against the Chargers defense who gives up a lot of points. I do see Breece Hall having a very good day. And that concludes it for our Week 9 running back start sits. This is Jonathan. I hope you guys enjoyed. Why don't you guys like, comment, let us know what you think. And most of all, have a great weekend. Have a good one.